as old as time, song as old as rhyme, brunette and the ginge.
Is that the new intro?
That's the intro, yeah.
Like it. Cool.
Thanks.
Cool. Hans Zimmer, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
Right, so welcome to Oh the Humanities, episode 22.
Is it?
All the ducks.
Fucking hell.
Now you see, I didn't know if that was the saying, if it was all the ducks, because there's only two ducks. And in the time where you were having technical difficulties and had to move from a different room and plug in, I looked on Google to find out a bit more about bingo calling, and
Okay.
let me see. There's a list of numbers.
Right.
And sayings that bingo callers can put alongside them. So for 22, right, one of these is genius, and I had to think about it for half a second. But these are the links that could be done for 22 by a bingo caller. Yeah.
Okay.
We've got two little ducks, ducks
Yep.
on a pond,
Mm.
dinky doo,
What?
quack quack, Bishop Desmond.
What? Okay, yep. Yeah, okay, I get you.
Put your 22s on. Don't know
No,
about
that's bad.
Toot toot.
Right.
And all the twos. But if you can give me a number between 1 and 90, I will tell you what the bingo calling things are for it.
Okay, what about the number 31?
Let me see. Get up and run.
Oh.
Give me another.
Okay, let's go with 74.
74. Candy store.
Right.
Grandmama of bingo. What?
74, Grandmama of Bingo.
I don't know. Grandmama of bingo was 74.
That's a bit of a stretch, that one, I think.
I don't know. Everything sounds all right in that voice, though.
That's true.
How about this one, right?
Okay.
Gandhi's breakfast, 80.
What? Okay, I'll tell you what. Pick one out and I'll see if I can work out which number it is.
Okay. Stroppy teen.
17?
It could have been any of those. It's 15. But give me another number.
Okay, the number I'm going to give you is 27.
Little duck with a crutch. Right, I'm going to open this up to the Twitter, and we'll come back to this later. Choose a number between 1 and 90 for the podcast. Exciting things.
This is great. Do you remember when we used to talk about computer games?
Well, we'll get to that, I think.
We're getting there.
I didn't see this coming until your PC stuffed up, so well played.
Yeah, wow. So it turns out my computer committing Haddy Kitty was actually good for the show. Excellent.
You are sounding like you're in a bit of a Tupperware box and there's you being assaulted with white noise.
Really? Because I'm using my regular microphone.
You sound a little way away and there's a lot of white noise.
Okay.
We can put up with this because we love you. I'm
Okay.
speaking for the audience as if they're all standing behind me.
And if they can even hear it, if my recording's working properly on my end.
Are you speaking directly into the microphone, or are you in a cupboard?
I am like.
Are you in the fridge again?
From the I'm 6 inches from the microphone. I'm here. Oh, the Skype microphone might be picking up the one on the laptop. Give me a second. Let me find out.
This is marvellous.
To the listeners now, I'll be going far away, but to you, I might be getting closer.
CJ and Paddy, how do you do a podcast?
We are good at thing. Right.
Oh, that sounds better.
Do I?
Yeah.
Right, that's because the microphone it's picked up for Skype is the one on the laptop, which is currently sitting on the floor. How do you change it? Options. Right, okay, this is good. This is good radio. Audio settings. Microphone. Okay, I'm switching microphones now. And do I sound better to you now?
Clarity.
Right?
Yeah, that's much better. That's much better.
Okay.
We'll go with this.
Good. We're keeping that in. That's staying in.
So we haven't done a "Hey, what are you playing?"
What?
for a while, because the previous shows have been tied up with E3 and didn't really crack into Gamescom on that front because we just jumped into the Dark Souls 3 stuff, didn't we?
Yeah, there wasn't really much from Gamescom though that I found that mind blowing. Personally.
Yeah, says Mr. Sony.
Yeah, well, they weren't there, were they? So
Well, they were kind of on the floor and
they were there, but they weren't there.
talking to other people. So yeah, I think it's interesting in the aftermath of Gamescom. Like in the last day or so, I'm noticing like a little bit of a change of mindset around about Microsoft. Suddenly, people seem to be ditching this sort of sod the Xbox One guff and seem tempted. I think most folks see Phil Spencer talking passionately about games. The lineup for 2015, the lineup for 2016 that we saw sort of at Gamescom, and seeing a company that is passionate about games, that has a cracking run of titles in place, and folks want to play them. I watched the Miller Report's fantastic on Video Gamer. And I think there's this subliminal thing that I think a few people are getting up for Gears of War, just simply because it's a real game about a real war, real man,
real guns
with real guns. Yeah, but I saw the Video Gamer thing tonight where they were like the best, the top 10 best games on Xbox One.
I must confess, I've not seen that yet. I've seen it on the YouTube list. I haven't managed to actually watching it.
They have to be exclusive to the system, and they're doing a PS4 one in a couple of weeks as well.
Okay.
Apparently, but it was really good, and there were lots of games on there I'd kind of forgotten about. Like I still really want to pick up Forza Horizon 2 because I love the demo, but I haven't gotten into it. Do you remember when John Denton was talking about Rise? And saying like some Rise Son of Rome, where he says like sometimes you just want a dumb as fuck game.
Yeah.
And Simon Miller was like, I haven't got an Xbox One. He says I've finished Rise 3 times. He was like, I love it, and he said, and they were saying, oh, but you only gave it a 7. He says, yeah, but it's a game I just really like playing. So, yeah, there were things like Sunset Overdrive, which I still haven't bought, and I love that 48 hours trial. And you were saying, weren't you, at Gamescom last year, how good it was?
It was brilliant.
So,
did it pretty much exactly this time last year. Boom. It was brilliant. And I won, out of the 7 people in our booth, I won, which was even better.
So, yeah, I still have to pick that up. But there was an interview with Phil Spencer on Eurogamer today, and the comment section was surprisingly positive.
Nah, I don't believe you.
Honest to God, it was really weird because you just expect. I think one of the top comments was, "Oh, I expect somebody pitching in about how the games aren't 1080p and how this and how that," and it didn't happen for quite some time. There were lots of folks going, "Oh, there's quite a few games that are turning up now that I want to play." And he
are you saying that Digital Foundry Man didn't show up until like way late?
No, Digital Foundry Man did a Digital Foundry on a video of a game from Gamescom.
Right, now there's quite a lot wrong with that.
Which I thought was a bit bizarre. Digital Foundry analysis of the video of Halo 5 Guardians, I think it was. And I was like, really? But
it's a fucking YouTube video.
But yeah, it's I mean, I've said before, I've become a big fan of Spencer. For those reasons that we mentioned, and if nothing else, we've got a console war that's built not on sniping but creativity in games. In the interview today, and there was one with Rob Crossley on GameSpot around about Gamescom time, where Spencer does nothing but praise Sony about the market position, and even when Rob Crossley was saying, "Oh, what do you feel about Sony gobbling up sort of exclusives?" He was like, "They're not gobbling them up; they're buying them. It's a legitimate business practice." He's spoken highly about Nintendo. So really loves Splatoon. And before, do you remember when we had that conversation about you were saying that more execs should play the games they're talking to people about?
Yes.
And he was talking about Shu playing Bloodborne. Phil Spencer's put in 350 hours on Destiny, and he was talking up Destiny, which, let's face it, is a game that Sony have got exclusivity to quite a few bits on.
It's got their hat on it on a jaunty angle, hasn't it? Certainly.
Yeah. I'm not thinking of it as a character with like a little in-game hat. But yeah,
a little blue hat.
He's a level 34 Titan, and he's got a level 18 Hunter in progress as well.
Huh.
That's pretty neat. But I'm kind of, with people sort of seeing the games that are coming this year and the games that are coming next year, I kind of want to see that level of passion back from Sony. I mean,
it's Paris Game Show in like 2 weeks or something?
Yeah,
Is that
and if anything else, I think that it's nice that whereas at E3 we had those two amazing shows, and everybody can focus on the Microsoft stuff now. I'm interested to see what Sony put together at Paris, the Paris Game Show. Is it?
Yeah, France Games. Let's call it that.
Yeah, all right. Bonjour games, ça va?
Où avez le DualShock 4?
J'habite CJ. No, that I live in CJ. Moi nom est CJ. J'habite video games.
Moi nom est. Isn't that Spanish?
I don't know, isn't it? My name is Moi nom est.
Isn't it like Il s'appelle?
Il s'appelle.
Il s'appelle Paddy.
Who's that in the corner eating those crisps and drinking? That's Il s'appelle.
It's Il s'appelle, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Her husband survived the war, but honestly, everybody thinks she's coming on to him. She's got a nervous tick. So yeah, I mean, with the Sony stuff that I'm excited to see if they address Paris Games Week. That's what it's called.
That's the one.
I mean,
it's cool to see him get like the show. Like, I mean, the Gamescom was kind of cool to see Microsoft have their show, right? Like, we're going to show our stuff. They've got free reign. They haven't got to try and one up each other.
Well, I think that
because there is a bit of competition at E3, isn't there? It's like you've got to have the best show, haven't you?
Well, a few people have said that Gamescom is moving back next year because one of the criticisms was it's too close to E3. And I think that maybe Microsoft sort of split their show with the stuff that's coming out immediately at E3 and then the 2016 stuff at Gamescom because they're quite close together. Whereas Sony, maybe their kind of immediate stuff they're gonna do at Paris Games Week. But
yeah, they didn't do a lot of immediate stuff at the E3, did they? Lots of like, hey, a couple of years,
Well, I mean, I love Shu, Adam Boys. The people at PlayStation Access are stunners with regards to getting passionate about games. But the Sony lineup, and I think this is a valid criticism, the Sony lineup at E3 was a little Square Enix, which was sort of there's this thing coming that you really want someday. So it's probably next year.
Guys, we're thinking about making it.
But I think people are starting to notice that, and I mean the Xbox One's got a decent run of stuff coming up towards the end of this year, and they've dropped I think Crackdown. I think it's only the multiplayer that's coming out next year.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, I've heard a few bits on this, and they've yet to be clarified. But on the Gamescom video, it said something about multiplayer 2016, and I don't know if they're just doing, if that was just to say, right, well, the nearest thing that's coming out is we're going to beta test the multiplayer.
Yeah.
And I think, as far as I can tell, because there's the fully destructible environments, and that's going to take its power from the cloud. And
I'm learning this now. Okay,
right. Well, it's one of the things that they originally went back when kind of you got those,
wasn't it? They were like, oh, we're going to do the physics on the cloud, so the computers won't have to sort of run faster or something like that, wasn't it?
Well, it was one of the initial pitches when Xbox did that fucking awful first showing, and you got the previous suits and all that kind of stuff. But apparently, in multiplayer, the game, the city in multiplayer is fully destructible.
Okay.
All of the city.
Right.
And that the cloud will be processing 20 times the power of the Xbox One to deal with that.
Okay.
Which is
Wait, so
awesome.
aren't you supposed to be like cops in Crackdown?
In the original, you are these kind of science fiction-y cops, yeah, and you can climb up buildings and get orbs, which kind of Saints Row 4 kind of did
Something
nudge
like
and a
that,
wink
yeah.
to. And run around and you bust gangs, and the more orbs that you collect, the more you get your abilities are there to jump higher, to jump faster, all this kind of stuff. And it was just stupidly good fun. And I watched a video gamer do a few hours worth of play of it recently, and it still looks good. But on the new one, the city is fully destructible, and like I say, the Microsoft servers are going to be processing 20 times the power of the one. For the destructible environments, which is on the one hand fucking bonkers. There are other people that have gone, oh, well, what if you've got a shit internet? It's like, don't buy it. But apparently
odd. I don't know. I'd like to see how it works. Like, I mean, see it running.
Have a look at the video, because it's in the video.
I will.
It's really good. But they've said that the fully destructible city isn't going to be there in the single player. And I can kind of see why, because if you've got missions inside buildings and all this sort of stuff, you can't really be destroying the building.
Why not?
Rather than doing the mission. So yeah,
you've got to take out the terrorists, blow up the thing they're in, boom, job done.
Curious about that. Did you see the Scalebound stuff eventually?
I saw a little bit of it.
It's an early alpha, but
It looked alright. I don't know. I wasn't that attached to it. But I don't really get that attached to like the Monster Hunter type games, which I think is what it looked a bit like to me. And I looked at it, I thought, well, it looks alright.
Well, they've kind of likened it to Dragon's Dogma.
Really?
Which really turned my head. Because I know there's a few frame rate issues with the way that it is now, and a few folks have sort of jumped on, oh, the lead character looks a bit of a dick. I really couldn't give an arse about that. But I liked the bants between him and the dragon. That it wasn't just like, oh, I am the master and you are my dragon. There was kind of like a back and forth between them. That was pretty cool. And I like the thought of sending something huge across a battlefield to munch things.
There's a joke there somewhere.
Yes, there probably is.
Let's take the high road.
Yeah, I had no idea Hideki Kamiya could speak such good English as well.
Really?
Yeah, very articulate.
He knows block, doesn't he?
He certainly does, my friend. So yeah, I quite like that. But yeah, this and that's Quantum Break with the telly stuff.
I've got to say, I've not seen anything of that yet. I haven't caught a shred of a video of that yet.
Well, they did a showing at E3 a couple of years ago, which looked all right, kind of a decent enough third-person actioner.
That was the video that had the boat in it, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
There was a big boat, and it was like TV. The listeners know. Yeah, the listeners know.
They had a bit of... I remember on the original thing, they had a bit of kind of telly and stopping time, and then they showed the game, and it looked like a fairly nice third-person action, jump about, Uncharted-like shooter with time mechanics and a plot that seemed sort of quite sci-fi and intriguing and stuff, but
time travel man shoots
little more. But this time they got rather than just sort of the standard bloke in the lead, they got Sean Ashmore from the X-Men.
He's Iceman, isn't he?
He is. They got Dominic Monaghan from Lord of the Rings.
One of them hobbits
playing his brother.
Okay.
They got Aidan Gillen from Game of Thrones playing like the villain in it.
With his little finger, yep.
And Lance Reddick from The Wire is in the TV show bit. Okay. And apparently, as far as I can tell, like it looks fantastic now. It looks really, really good. And as far as I can tell, you're playing kind of the a guy who something's happened in time, and I think his brother might be responsible for it. But there's somebody that's hunting them down through the time stream, and these soldiers will come and kind of break into the time that you've broken.
Okay,
it just looks sort of quite unusual. But apparently, the TV show that ties into it is from the other perspective. That it's from the bad guys' perspectives, and them trying to stop you. And from what I could tell with an interview with Sam Lake today, I think you'll do a level, and it'll get into like a bit of a cliffhanger and stuff, or you get to a certain point and you get to a cliffhanger, and then 22 minutes of television begins.
So in a sense, it's like Metal Gear.
It's Metal Gear, yeah. But and there are a few folks going like, "Oh, I'm not sure. I want to do that." But I'm quite enticed by that. And obviously, if you're going on multiple playthroughs, you're just going to be able to skip it. But I quite like the thought of going through like a massive level, or series of levels, or whatever it is to get to that climax, and then it gets to like the TV episode. You see the opposite side of the story, and just beforehand, you're thinking like, right, I'll put the kettle on.
Okay, so here's what I want to know about that.
For that,
I want to know if the classic cutscene problem. If I press like the start button, will it pause the TV show or will it skip the TV show?
I don't know. Maybe it'll be one of those things where I think nowadays most of the time you press like say if it's options or whatever it is, you press that and then it will say press Y to or press X to skip on. So it's normally like a 2-button thing now, isn't it?
Because I've been playing a few games recently where that's been an issue.
But I'm quite enticed by that, and it does look like it's got a bit more to it now. It's got star power involved. It actually, what?
That's what they call the special meter in Guitar Hero.
You and your fucking nerd games. I'm talking about serious science fiction, and you bring up plastic guitars.
Oh mate, it gets worse.
So yeah, it looks. It seems to have a little bit more gravitas now. It's got sort of these name actors involved and stuff. But I'm quite up for that.
Okay.
So they're the three biggies that they.
Here's a Gamescom thing for you. Then I'll throw one at you. Right, something that came out. What do you think about the PS4 vote for your PlayStation Plus game thing? What do you think about that? Go.
I've seen the criticism that you might get rather than say something quirky and cool coming through. You might get sort of idiots voting for like knack.
Knack, yeah. The first when that goes up, we get a knack.
Yeah, but of the 3 games that I've seen go up, the one that caught my eye was the one that I knew about, which was Grow Home, because I've heard really good things about it. But I think regardless of the outcome, because they've said there's going to be discounts on the other 2 anyway. Okay. Regardless of the outcome, I think it's good to be interacting with your fan base like that, and it's nice to see Sony interacting with their fan base like that. I think it's got people talking, which is neat, but and there is always that fear that you might get nag.
But it'd be nice to kind of stop that just relentless bitching as well. Like if you go on any of the
that'll never stop. Stop.
Like the official channel, like Twitter pages and blog pages, and like the first comments are always like, "Nah, it's all shit this month." They could give you the entire library for free and say, "Yeah, well, No Man's Sky's now out yet. Those two is well shit." I saw an amazing comment actually online on the same thing. It was on an article about Goat Simulator, right? Mm-hmm. And the comment was, "No online multiplayer, not buying." And then it's like the first reply was, "There's no online multiplayer on any version of this game." You mad fuck dead. Like why? Like
because we had this a bit of a chat about this on Twitter the other day, but I was referencing the GameSpot article where they spoke about Phil Spencer having putting 350 hours into Destiny. Like all the comments were just like, "Oh, this can't be real. He's probably got somebody playing Destiny for him."
Oh wow!
For 350 hours, seriously, that's a job that I'll take.
He can pay a man to do that for him.
And it's just, I was just reading the comment, and it was a really good interview, right? The piece was a really nice piece to read, but just seeing the level of bile that was spat out underneath, which is why that Eurogamer one kind of caught me off guard a little bit, because it was lots of people going like, "Oh, I never thought I'd be interested in an Xbox One, but there's stuff that I want to play on it now." And it you know, like 95% of the stuff that I saw first thing this morning was that. But yeah, I've seen some of those PlayStation Plus forum bits, and they do really want knack.
Everyone wants knack, and the thing is, I maintain that it's not quite as bad as everyone thinks it is. Like, it's not terrible. It is like, it's a solid 5 out of 10. Like, it's not as awful as the world would have you believe, but it's certainly not a title to desire. And I think all that the vote's going to do is that you'll get a game, it'll be alright, and then the other 2/3 of people that voted the other way will be like, no, cancelling subscription, boo. And it's like, oh, fuck off. And the thing is, I don't know which one to pick out of those first three. Because obviously you've heard of Grow Home, the mad game where you grow sprouts and grow up as a weird robot thing. Looks cool. Don't get me wrong, looks cool. But then the other one called Armello, which is like a hex-based, turn-based strategy game with card elements to it.
Okay.
Like, okay, yeah, I'm in. I like my I like my Catan. You know, I like my hex-based card games. You know, I'm into that. So I was like, oh, okay, well that makes this a bit of a difficult decision then. And then the third one, the like stupidly named like Zombie Vikings or something terrible, right? Shit name, but it's from the people who made Stick It to the Man. And Stick It to the Man, I really liked. I thought that thing was brill.
I've not played it. I've heard great things about it. But for me, it's. I mean, I can kind of. I add most of this stuff to my library and then just never download it. And that's even to the degree that for a couple of months back there on Games with Gold, there was Massive Chalice by Double Fine, and I just didn't go near it. I downloaded Broken Age on PS4 and played a little bit of that and enjoyed it, but I didn't go near Massive Chalice. And then I heard Sean Bell talking about it on Midnight Resistance. It sounds amazing, and I keep thinking like, am I now going to have to pay for that? You fool! Because on the Xbox One, you've not got that button that you have on PlayStation where it's like add this to your library. You know, you're kind of downloading and then stopping it. I
still used to do that for everything. Like the first 2-3 years of PlayStation Plus, I did that for everything. I was like, right, yep, download, cancel, like just to get it in the library. Because when everyone says, "Oh, it's brilliant," well, I'll go back and try it then.
So yeah, I'm one of the people that's
foolish.
Just doesn't touch this stuff. And I think the only one that I've played and really enjoyed was SteamWorld Dig, was it?
Yeah, that was.
I really enjoyed that. But I'd had my eye on that for quite a long time, and it reminded me a little bit of kind of like Boulder Dash on the Commodore 64 a little bit. So I was like, it's having a bit of a nostalgia trip. So,
yeah. Thing is, these days you need Plus for everything anyway, so you might as well get it. And like, so my sister's other half, Matt, he got himself a PS4. She bought him a PS4 the other month. And I was round there, and he was sort of showing me what he's got on there, and I was like, "Well, you've not bought all the Plus games yet?" Then he went, "Nah, I don't think I want them." I went, "Get them in your library." He went, "Why?" I sat there, I made him press like the add to library button on everything. He doesn't have a Vita, but I was making him press the button on it all, regardless.
Yeah.
No, because if you buy a Vita, suddenly you have 100 games.
Yeah.
Like, just do it. Like, if you're listening and you don't add everything to your library, just do it.
Yeah, with Vita, remove
Yeah.
your kidney and get a little bit close to a memory card.
Yeah, or like pick up a Vita TV for like a tenner somewhere. Like, it's fine. Those things are going dirt cheap now already. Like, it's ridiculous.
Have you seen those guys that have built the sort of Super Vita out of the Vita TV?
No.
Oh, this is awesome, right? And these are available now, I think, to pre-order in Japan. But somebody's taken a PlayStation TV, which is tiny as fuck anyway, and has put an AMOLED screen over the top of it.
Okay.
And like bigger analog sticks and buttons and stuff. So it's essentially like a Vita that's twice the size, and it's still really light, and they're selling them. and it looks ace.
Wow.
It looks absolutely ace.
Okay, I'm up for that.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you be?
I'm into it. Yeah,
because that sounds to me like it would be more of a Vita for home. Because you could just sit there and you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
One that you could kind of plug it into the plug socket by the by the side of the couch or whatever, and just play on the couch. And if you were going elsewhere, buses, trains, playing at lunch, you'd pop your memory card back into your regular Vita. But yeah, it looks pretty cool.
It's kind of neat. I like it.
So yeah, this is a segue.
Okay.
The game that's on Games with Gold at the minute is Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, which I've never played, or a Metal Gear game. If only there was someone who was knowledgeable about the Metal Gear games, who was perhaps going through all of them ahead of the new game's release. But we can't get Rich Woodward. Who else could there be?
I'll just check behind the sofa. Let me just go check. Hang on.
Is that where Solid Snake is?
There's a box back here. Right. Let's open the box. Oh, it's me. Good
You're
segue.
in the box.
Yeah, I was in the box as well.
Does that mean that there's two of you now, or you've absorbed yourself?
No, the one that was sat here before is now gone.
Time
Paradox. It's gone.
You can sort of take the part of you that loves Metal Gear, and it can walk out
with an eye patch.
Yeah, and a purple arm.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah,
I don't know.
Good
tell
segue.
Tell me about this stuff. Thanks. It was terrible. I don't care.
Good segue. Okay. Yeah. So I've decided ahead of Metal Gear 5 coming out, because I've been watching the trailers and all the stuff that's been coming out, like the half an hour long gameplay vids of showing off like the mother base stuff and the how to like take on the 97 different ways there are to take on every mission. Got a bit excited for Metal Gear. So I've decided to, like a few other people I know of, to run through all the Metal Gear games that I've got before 5 comes out in, 2 weeks now, is it? Or 2.5 weeks? Which is mad. Like, I can't believe we're getting another Metal Gear in 2.5 weeks. That's ridiculous. So I started with, I've tried the MSX ones, the old sort of NES style games.
Were they on the collection?
They are on the collection, and in Metal Gear 3.
On the collection that was on PS3, because it's not on the Xbox version, is it?
They're embedded in Metal Gear 3.
Mm-hmm.
They're in there. You can find under the special menu, and they're in there because it's the subsistence version of Metal Gear 3. So you'll find it in there. But yeah, I've never really played them, and I've tried, like at work, many times, like on my lunch breaks. I just can't do them. Like I'm bad at them. So I've settled to, I've watched YouTube videos of them now, so I've experienced them. I say that much. But I thought I'd kick straight back off with where it all started for me, with the original Metal Gear 1. And dear God, that's still like my favourite game ever. And I think replaying it now,
that's cool.
Yeah, like replaying it now. And it's got to be about 4 years since I last played it, I think. Probably. I don't know. Like, it still holds up.
You playing it on PS3 or Vita?
I was playing it on the PS3 with the controller. And, like, to the point where, like, all the little story beats that happen, I was getting excited by it. Every single time, like, oh, it's this bit. Oh, it's the tank. Oh,
but you kind of forgotten about them, and it was reminding you as you went along.
I've forgotten. Okay, I'm learning that I've forgotten far less about Metal Gear 1 than I have about the rest of them. Because I knew where like everything was. Like, right, okay, go here, get the thermal goggles there, just round that corner, get that, go down there, and I was kind of whipping through it at a pretty good pace, you know. And I decided to take my time with it as well. So I'm going to listen to all the codec messages and watch all the cutscenes, because usually you could, if you're in a rush, you can just mong the crap out of triangle, and then you through it in like 10 seconds. But I thought I'll listen to them. And like some of the voice acting, and it's a bit hammy, but it's still like it hits the mark, like it works. And so the Psycho Mantis boss fight, which you may have heard about.
Is that the second controller one?
Oh,
or am I thinking of something else?
Yeah, that's the one. There's more to it. There's so much more to it than that. But like the way he reads your save file, so if you haven't saved very often, he'll say, "Oh, you have not saved often. You are a reckless man."
Entire podcast where you use that voice.
Yeah, I decided to because when I've played it before. So I played it on the PS1, and I never really had any other Konami games. I didn't buy Castlevania. I was into the football games, that sort of shit. So whenever he came to read more deeply into my past, he'd always tell me that my memory was completely clean, which is what he says if there's no more Konami games on your memory card. So I thought, well, I've got some of those now, thanks to the PS1, the PSN. So as part of my Metal Gear playthrough, I also loaded up Symphony of the Night and played through to the first save point. Which is part of the Metal Gear run.
Really?
Then, yeah, it's part of it. So I took a break, I went in, I loaded up Symphony of the Night, got to a save point, created a save on the memory card, and then went back to Metal Gear. And then, when you get to that part where he reads more deeply into your past, Mantis hisses out, "Oh, I see you like Castlevania."
No!
Yeah. I've never heard it before. Like,
you know something?
Giddy.
There must be at least a handful of people in this world who loved Castlevania, who were playing Metal Gear Solid and got up to that point and just went, "What?"
Yep. It doesn't even end there. There's so much weird shit, like the way that Mantis can move your controller with his mind. And if you're listening, you know what I mean here, but he basically gets you to place your controller on the floor. Says, "Yes, place it flat down on the floor, as flat as you can. Now I shall move your controller with my will alone." And then does cool sort of psychic poses, and the controller starts vibrating.
No.
And it clackers all over the floor. And
I love the fuck out of that.
I was doing this at about 11:30.
Yeah.
Laura had just gone to bed, and I'm sitting in the front room, clapping and giggling, going, "Yeah, it's happening again!" To which I got a very well-deserved "shut the fuck up." But yeah, like that game does things to me, like the Cyborg Ninja stuff, the Grey Fox stuff, all the boss fights, they're all good. Like, they've all got their own good things. I don't think there was a single part about the game I did not enjoy.
Now, you see, I regret not playing that at the time, because that sounds like it must have been just a religious experience.
It blew my... Metal Gear 1 is the game... I think was the tipping point game that was like, yeah, games are brilliant, aren't they? Like, I'd port stuff, the standard stuff. You buy your football game, your Ridge Racer, whatever. At that time, you buy your licensed crap because you don't know any better. And that was the first game I think I played. I was like, yeah, wow, this is like, games can be more than just man shoot.
Well, I remember at that time, I mean, a lot of people sort of looked to the Wii as to bringing people into games that hadn't played games before, but. The PlayStation 1 was very much like that, and I knew lots of folks who picked it up, and maybe they started playing Tomb Raider, who then went on to Metal Gear and absolutely loved it. And that kind of, again, like, they didn't know if there would be another experience for them that was like Tomb Raider, that they got into like Tomb Raider. And when they moved to Metal Gear and they found Final Fantasy VII and they started moving across, they found that there was tons here that they really loved, and that was ace.
Gateway drugging.
Yeah.
But like, there's so much about that first game that's like, it's in my brain, like, it's never leaving. I knew exactly what I was doing every given point. Like, I was like, when you find yourself mouthing along with the cutscenes because you know it all. Even some of the codec conversations, I was able to say what was going to come next, and kind of noticed myself doing it. Like, oh, it's this bit next. Oh, it's this bit next. But yeah, Metal Gear 1. I feel completely justified in still saying it is my favourite game ever, because having played it again, I've come away from it and I don't feel any ill will towards it at all. Like, it's still brilliant. And not that god-awful GameCube thing, but let's not go down that dark road.
Well, the weird thing was, when you were saying about the unusual stuff, I was thinking, oh, well, there was Eternal Darkness that kind of did a few fuckabouts, and then I thought, yeah, and it was Dennis Dyack that brought your second Snake.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah. Ugh. Well... Ugh.
So is that the only one you played, or are you are you into MGS2 now? Or?
I have also gone all the way through MGS2.
Okay.
MGS2 is where I think Kojima had worked out that cutscenes were good, and thus did as many of them as long as possible.
Yeah, but
Metal Gear, this is when you were talking about Quantum Break earlier. It's like, right, you do your bit of game, you put it down, 20 minutes of video, right? No joke, there are 20-minute cutscenes.
But I mean, in the here and now, people have gotten to the stage where they're not asked about cutscenes. And we've spoken before how Dark Souls
quick time events these days, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Dark Souls is storytelling. If you want to look for it, it's there. If you don't, it isn't. But back on PS1, when you got a cutscene, it was like a film that was for you. Nobody understood the sort of stuff that you were going through, but we all remember stuff like Balam Garden lifting off in Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh, yeah.
All these things were like, oh my god, I can't believe games are doing this. So yeah. Did you enjoy the cutscenes, or did they look a bit tiresome now, or
well, they still look
still
pretty
in the
good.
zone?
Metal Gear 2 still looks and plays really smooth. Like, the thing I was quite surprised to sort of remember when I was playing, because again, it's been a few years since I popped Metal Gear 2 back in. It's like the whole thing is like butter smooth, like buttery smooth. Like Snake and Raiden just glide around the corridors, like, and they flatten up, and all the animations are dead on. Like it's sharp as a button as well. Like, you're not kind of half-assed meandering down a corridor. You are going exactly the way you want to go, and it's precise as anything as well. Like, it's proper bob on. The cutscenes do drag in places, I will give it that. At the time, don't get me wrong, it was like, this is something else. Like, what? My mind's being blown. What's going on? And also kind of having a greater appreciation for the story in general. Like, knowing now what I know, having immersed myself in it, and I've got a pretty good handle on what's really going on and who's to blame for certain things. Like, seeing things play out, I'm like getting stuff that I didn't get the last time I played it. Like, he doesn't know what's going on because of that. Oh, and that's that person, but that's really being done by that person. And it's kind of hard to explain in 2 sentences. But like, when you know what's really going on behind the scenes, it's to bring it back to Dark Souls. It's the Dark Souls thing again of like knowing what you're doing when you're killing a boss or how it got there. Or like when you're killing like Sif, but you know about why. You're like, oh man, like it's that.
Yeah, I get you.
But you kind of like, there are hints and like scenes that never made sense in the past. Suddenly, all of a sudden, make complete and utter sense. Now I've sort of seen with all the knowledge that I've got. It's like, oh, that's why he shot that guy. Oh, that always just felt really out of place. Now I get it, and it could just be me being older and not stupid. But
are you aiming to do all of them before Phantom Pain comes out, or as much as possible?
I am trying. I am actually currently midway through Metal Gear 3. I'm not very far in. I've not even reached the first proper boss yet. I've not reached the Pain, who's a man who's covered in bees. That's it. That's all the motivation you ever hear. He's
what
just
more
a man
do you need?
covered in bees.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Yeah, this is the one where they kind of don't go too much in depth about the bosses. You don't get to find out too much about them. One of the problems the Metal Gear games always had is like, oh, here's this boss, you've shot them. Now here's 20 minutes explaining why they weren't really such a dick. This is everything about them. But like in Metal Gear, it's like, right, you killed them, they blow up, the end, move on. But okay, here's something I'm kind of noticing about Metal Gear 3 compared to the other ones, is that I've forgotten it compared to Metal Gear 1 and 2. Like, I have forgotten most things about that game. And as such, I am doing very, very poorly at it. Like, I am getting seen, like, so much. And, like, I think I've got my camo on. And am I hidden? I'm just be hidden. Am I hidden? Alert noise. I'm not hidden. And, like, I think it could be down to familiarity, forgetting what I was doing with it. But, like, I'm not really enjoying it as much as I feel like I should be at this point.
Because that's the one that everybody says is the classic, isn't it?
It's the classic best one. And don't get me wrong, it is still brilliant. And I was singing along with the Snake Eater intro music, like you couldn't believe. Like,
oh man, I saw that opening stuff at Game City a few years ago when Quinns was showing off, and he was sharing his love about Metal Gear Solid and Armored Core and all that sort of stuff. And I was watching that opening sequence, and it was like, because Lee Alexander's a really big fan as well, isn't she?
No, that opening Snake Eater intro is batshit crazy. Like, it's ridiculous how like James Bond it is. And I dig it. I really, really dig it. But like, I don't know. Like, because I don't remember it so well, I'm kind of cocking up quite a bit and getting seen quite a bit and getting blown up by landmines quite a bit.
But isn't that cool in a way?
It sort of is.
It's not like you're just running through steps that are there for muscle memory. The fact that it's not there is kind of decent.
But like bits that I don't know, it's like bits that I think should be empty aren't. It's like wait, what? I used to be able to do this without being seen. Like I've done like no alert runs of pretty much all of them, and I just cannot do it this time. I don't know if it's me. Like I mean, because I'm playing it on the PS2. Like I played that and Metal Gear 2 as well on the PS2. So I've not got the fancy HD remaster one, so everything's quite muddy. So like picking out where the enemies are, or like there's one bit quite early on where there's a beehive you can shoot down on a guy's head, and he's like, "Oh no!" and runs away. I couldn't see the beehive until like 30 seconds of staring at this tree, going, "Where is this beehive?" And then when you see it, it's not even that obvious. And that could just be down to PS2 graphical limitations. I mean, they've packed a lot in to the game, but like I don't know. I just found that I'm not doing as well, so I'm not enjoying it as much.
Okay.
Like it doesn't feel quite as like it's not the comfy shoe that I remember.
You don't think a little bit this might be sort of Metal Gear Solid fatigue in that you've set yourself this
There's
challenge.
no such thing.
No, but you've set yourself this challenge to kind of get so far into get through the games before Phantom Pain comes out, so you're all fresh, and maybe at this point you kind of I don't know. There's just a little resistance.
Maybe it's a lurch that because I mean I was saying this to who was it? I think it was Josh Garrity who was pointing this out on Twitter. Like, there's no other game series that has evolved and changed like meaningfully as much as Metal Gear has from like title to title. Like every one is completely like different. Like they introduce whole new things, whole new setups, different ways of doing stuff, but they still feel like they feel like logical sequels, but they're very very different. I think this is the first one with the whole survival stuff and the camouflage stuff, where it's not quite as intuitive as I remember it being, perhaps. Because I know in Metal Gear 4 they give you like an optic camo suit where you basically lay on the floor and the suit then becomes the texture of the thing you're laying on. So if you're not sort of going into menus to find like the best camo for the time, it just makes it for you as long as you can sit still for a couple of seconds and let it readjust. And that was great. I used to love playing with that because you could find some really weird stuff to lay against, like walk around with a big paisley camo suit on, being completely seen by everything. But yeah, I want to be really, really enjoying Metal Gear 3 because it is, like, objectively, looking at it from the outside, probably the best one. Like, in terms of, like, the whole package together. It's very close between that and Metal Gear 1 for me. Very, very close. Metal Gear 1 is still my favourite forever, but I do acknowledge that 3 is probably the better game in general. But I don't know. Is it because it's the one everyone likes? Because, I mean, Metal Gear Solid 2, the one that everyone hates with Raiden in it, had a fucking blast. Absolute blast. And the bits towards the end when Colonel Campbell starts going absolutely nutbags and starts calling you about scissors, and telling you about the weird flash of light he saw in the sky the other night, and then woke up in his bed and asking you what you think it means. And when you don't respond, he's like, "Fine, forget about it," and hangs up on you. Like, and there's reasons for all that. But when Campbell goes mental at the end of Metal Gear 2, it's brilliant. Just don't. I didn't advance the plot. I just sat there listening to all the phone calls for a while because he phones you every 5 seconds with another stupid thing to tell you. And I was digging that, but like I've not found my dig yet on Metal Gear 3. I've not found it again. And I've had a few days away. I've been playing other things. So when I go back to it, hopefully I'll be more into it and more patient with it. Because again, I found I was maybe I was rushing it, because I think, right, I need to go there, get that run. And maybe rushing it's not the best idea in a Metal Gear game. You're supposed to be stealthy.
So to add to this, there was a video at Gamescom, a half-an-hour video of what I referred to earlier as Homebase.
Yes, Homebase.
And I presume like this series of kind of oil tanker sort of, not tankers, oil rig kind of places have probably got a home base on there, because where else would you go?
Listeners will know them as big shells.
Okay, because where else would you go for your plants?
Of course.
And your racking.
In the middle of the fucking ocean.
Your bins. Yeah, well, I mean, everything else was on this thing.
It's because they don't pay tax because they're outside of limits.
Patch tax.
That's it.
So I watched this as someone who hasn't played a Metal Gear Solid, and I've enjoyed all of these videos for the Phantom Pain that I've seen thus far. I watched that video and was bewildered at how good it was and how deep it was. And And in many ways, like a little intimidated by it as well. To be honest, it looks incredible.
It's definitely a Metal Gear way of doing it.
But I mean? That was my outside of the circle sort of view of it. And like I say, I've really enjoyed all of these vids that I've seen thus far. As a Metal Gear fan, how was that for you?
The idea that I can play as a soldier whose codename was like Rabid Badger.
Okay.
Like, get in. Like, the fact you haven't even got to be Snake, you can be one of the nameless, you've got names. Like the codenamed soldiers that run around the base and have different abilities and specialities,
Can you give yourself a name?
I think they're generated.
Oh, because you'd have been great as Secret Squirrel.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see what the random generator can come up with. But like, seeing how they take, the very, I think the invasion mechanic of Dark Souls, which everyone's cribbing these days. But taking that mechanic and sort of applying it in a unique way, like you build a base and you're defending that base and watching the whole way it played out with all the mad as fuck like tools you were using, like the blow up doll that caused electric shocks and the arm that shoots the Jehuti thing from Zone of the Enders. And it even makes I was sitting there watching this with Laura, and it made the noise, and she was exploding. Like, oh, it made the noise! It's brilliant. Really, really cool. Like, and just seeing them, like, acknowledge the other games, they've done without having to go, hey, look, it's a giant robot. Like, just acknowledging it was nice. But, like, just seeing, like, the amount you can do with it as well. Like, I cannot wait to start invading people, like, and start wrecking their bases up. Like, I really want to get on that. And it looks like there's a lot to it, but I'm happy to give it the time. Like,
sometimes, you see a game that's been in production forever, and when it comes out, you go, why has that been in production forever? You can kind of see why this has been in production forever, because it just looks slick and it looks fun. And even on those previous videos where they've had the different ways to tackle things, and you've got Diamond Dog and Diamond Horse and what's the woman's name?
Quiet,
yeah. And all the different songs that can play, and I keep meaning to download Ground Zeroes just to get a feel for it and see what I kind of make of it. But
Ground Zeroes definitely feels like a bite-sized chunk of what that looks like it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm genuinely tempted. Although I don't know if that would appall a certain part of your psyche, sir, because I'm not starting at the very beginning.
It would a bit, but any in's an in.
Yeah, true.
If you get in on that one, then you could go back and play them properly. But like, okay, like
properly. I like how you just that sounds really
properly. Because idiots
passive
will
aggressive.
Will tell you to play them chronologically, and they are wrong. They are fucking wrong. You play them in the order they were released.
I love you.
That's the right order. If you play Metal Gear 3 first, you're a fucking idiot.
That's
and I will fight everyone who wants to. I will fight people about that. I will fight you.
You're using swear words. I'm sorry to any children listening.
Okay, here's a cool thing about Metal Gear that came out from there.
Yeah.
The blood that gets on you, it's not an indication if you're being damaged, it's just blood gets on you. And if you don't wash it off in the showers, eventually you'll kind of get ill and you'll have to be on an IV when you're in the helicopter.
I saw the stink one and the reaction when the soldiers sort of see you and stuff. But
yeah, an ocelot chucks a bucket of water all over you. Like, brilliant. Yep, sold.
I'm still just lost at the amount of times that they turned on a sixpence in that new demo. But it was like, well, you can do this, and then you can do this, and then the other person's looking for you, and they can see this, but you've set a trap, and you're not actually there. You're over there, and part of me was just, I was watching and just going like, oh my god. But another part of me just went like, I'm not sure if I'm like too scared or too thick.
It's definitely a lot to take in. Like,
yeah,
I was watching that thinking, ooh, this is quite in depth, and there's going to be power players that have their grasp of every single tool that are going to rip you apart. But I think,
are you one of those people?
I really am not.
I thought you were going to go, I really am.
No, my Metal Gear strategy has always been, since Metal Gear 2 anyway, trank everything, and when it goes wrong, machine gun. But generally, just trank everything. Everyone has a nice little kip, and you can just walk through the areas unmolested. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Trank everything. But yeah, that's Metal Gear, man. It's mad and it's quite hard to jump into, but like there's so much to it. It definitely takes. I think it's definitely going to take you some acclimatization time. Which is why I'd recommend playing them all in order from Metal Gear Solid 1 through to Metal Gear Solid 5. But not everyone has the time or the ability to do that. But I'd say give Ground Zeroes a go. I think that'll be a good litmus test for if you're going to enjoy it. Because what I've seen of the videos and what I've played of Ground Zeroes, I've not played a super amount of it. But like it felt very Metal Gear. But it felt like a new Metal Gear. And that's all I ever want. I want new Metal Gear. Not just the same one again. I want new. And this looks like it's going to be new.
As a progress report, we've had 10 responses on the numbers between 1 and 90.
Oh
so
my god!
Okay.
Okay.
What we'll do at the end of the episode is if you go onto Twitter at that point and you read out who it is and the number that they've given, I will read out all of the official bingo calls.
Okay,
for
I
that
will
number.
try with my limited computer ability. I will try.
You've got a phone.
I have got a phone. That's a point. Yeah, we'll do that again.
and next time's challenge is challenge Paddy to use technology.
Look, everything's failing me today. I'm having a bad evening. Okay, so yeah. What's next on the plan that you've clearly written?
What's next on the plan is as a little bit of a backstory. There's been a secret game that I've been playing. That
Okay.
I've been holding back from you, and you've been.
Yeah, it's been driving me up the fucking wall.
I don't know if you've sussed it and you've been quite polite,
No.
because I had to sort of reach out to the people on my Xbox One friends list of just going like, this is the secret game. I am asking you all to be stum on this.
Yeah, I legitimately have no idea. I've been trying to work it out, but I can't do it. So.
Right. So as a left of centre,
Okay.
I'm kind of known for being a Dark Souls fan and all of this sort of stuff. And this is going to take people a little bit by surprise. But Skylanders Swap Force.
Fucking hell. Oh. Okay.
Right, so this has been sort of quite interesting. So I've mentioned a few times how much I adore the Skylanders episode of Cane and Rinse.
Yes.
Often with that show, I'll fall into episodes of which I have very little knowledge of the titles concerned, and the conversation will either pique my interest to try it or further my knowledge if someone else asks about it. But more often than not, sort of just flat out entertained anyway. That Skylanders episode of Cane and Rinse is my most listened to show of last year. And by that I mean any single episode of any podcast. And that's, I think I've listened to it about 5 times now.
That's mad.
Last year, Cane and Rince's Cave Shooter episode was another one of those where, I loved tons of sort of Taito shoot-em-ups when I was a kid. And Cave, I believe, sort of came out of Taito and Toa Plan.
Okay.
And I had no idea about that. And it was ace sort of listening to the likes of Leon Cox just talk about all these sort of shooters on 360 that I just never played, and sort of picking up loads of those. And so, yeah, that's the Skylanders show I just kept putting on. Tony Atkins, Gary Blower and Brad Galloway were discussing the entire series of games, but looking at them both from an adult's gamer perspective, plus their children's reactions to them. And in a nutshell, the first game, Spyro's Adventure, was apparently okay and rather flawed. Skylanders Giants followed, and that was a little better, this time containing sort of a few massive characters that you could use as well. Then hop, skip and jump over to last year's Trap Team, which was the first time they said the game had seemed like a cash grab. And in Trap Team you could capture and play the villains in the game, but only if you had a little plastic crystal to do so.
Yeah, I remember that bit.
Yeah. And
It
to play
sounded
the
pure evil.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were saying on the podcast that there were certain characters that were probably the best design characters in the game, but you didn't actually have the toy of them because you've captured them in this little crystal that you had to pay God knows how many pounds just to get. And, say what you want about the figures themselves, you're buying like a nice little sort of statue or a toy or whatever. But if you're paying out money for just like a tiny crystallized bit of plastic, that's shite. And they also said that the villain of the series, Chaos, you had to fork out for a retailer exclusive edition. That was the only way you could do it, which was shocking. So amidst all of that, I mean, why pick a set up? All of the above were by the original developer Toys for Bob, but between Skylanders Giants and Skylanders Trap Team came Swap Force with a new developer, Vicarious Visions. The trick this time were the swappable characters, where they snap apart in the middle. They're sort of held together with these bloody powerful magnets. So you could get, say, a character called Night Shift, and you could swap his top with and body with Freeze Blade, and potentially get like Night Blade or Freeze Shift. Okay. Each half levels up independently, and so you might fancy, say, being a robot made of fire, the top of one that chucks out bombs, and the bottom half you swap out for the wiggle and walk of octopus legs rather than flying like a jet above the ground. It's sort of that kind of thing. So you can sort of double up what your character can do, or specialities, or there might be something that you like from one character that you want to match up with another character, and it's up to you. All of the previous Skylanders work with it. So if you have a favourite character from the games before, you can use that. And I believe that because each character levels up as you go on in the game, I believe that skill trees fork off as well. So if you want to level a character in, say, a number of separate ways, you can buy another one if you want and take them down another path, which is something that I didn't appreciate at the time. But yeah, my interest was piqued, and I went to get a deal from Argos, which would give me the starter set, which is a game, Portal, 2 swappables, which are Blast Zone and Washbuckler, who's got the thing when you put him on the portal, it goes like 8 legs and no pegs.
Nice.
And sort of a standard figure Stealth Elf, and like all of that was £14.99.
That's quite good.
And they had an extension of the deal where you could get another swappable character and 2 more standard figures for £22. So it's like £7 extra. You get another 3 figures, which is pretty good.
It's not bad.
So I tried to get it, but Argos fucked up the payment with a shite website. Told me I couldn't get that refunded for another 10 days. And soon after, the starter set was out of stock. I looked online at CEX, and CEX had it for £8.
What?
£8.
That isn't not a lot of pounds.
£8. So when it arrived, sadly that was without a box, and all the figures were and everything in there was neatly wrapped in bubble wrap. But I was a little bit disappointed at that. But yeah, the game, the Ken and Rince discussion mentioned how brilliant Swap Force is. I mean, flat out brilliant. They said it was funny, great to play. All of the figures had taken a real leap in quality in sort of the look of them as toys, never mind sort of in the game. But not only that, but they alleged it was one of the prettiest games on New Gen, which kind of surprised me a little bit. They said that you could go through the game with the figures in the box and not miss out on a great gaming experience. So as a parent, they can just get those 3 characters, they can go through the game, and it's a big game and there's stuff to do. There would, of course, be mini-worlds that were locked to certain Skylanders, but those were left up to you as to whether you explored them or not. So £8 isn't much to lose in this regard, so I dived in. What I found threw me off quite a bit. The game reminds me of one of my favourite original PlayStation games, Klonoa.
Oh, Daughter Phantomile. Hoopo.
Yeah. And it's got elements of classic Rare, of classic Nintendo. It's a joy to play. Most of the levels are honking massive, and it features Richard Horvitz as Chaos. This is Richard Horvitz, Invader Zim, absolutely doing his Invader Zim. There is no difference between the two of them, and I kind of dig that. I mean, it is exactly the same turn he's doing. I loved Invader Zim. it deserved to run far longer than it did. And it's ace to kind of have that inflection again here. The cast is fantastic. I have to tip my hat to Patrick Warburton.
Okay.
Who was the Tick, and I think he was in. Was he in some Ratchet and Clank stuff?
I
think he might have been.
No,
he
isn't. But he's the voice of like Joe from Family Guy and all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah. So he plays Flynn, this old school sort of pilot that's trading off the glories of coincidence and the fact that he knows the Skylanders. And yeah, he's fantastic in it. So I've hammered through loads of the game, and surprisingly, rather than wanting to chop and change the characters all over the place, I've wanted to keep playing and leveling my little stealth elf that came in the box. And that surprised me, but it's not always possible to do it. When a Skylander runs out of energy, they become tired, and you have to swap them out with another. So I was running with 3 characters that I got at that point, and once they were done, so was I. So that was, it had a little trepidation to proceedings. You could say this is cool to get folks to get more figures. You could say this could be a way of mum and dad limiting a child's time with the game, and maybe both are valid. If anything, it lets me then break out the comfort zone of that one character, get a feel for a different set of moves for another, perhaps finding a new favourite, and then moving across the figures. The fun of getting into one of the older titles in Swap Force, so it isn't the one that came out last year was Trap Team, so Swap Force was before that, is that I can now run at the other figures really, really cheaply. I'm sure that the swappables when they first came out were about £15 to £20 each, and the packs of smaller figures, just the single figures, packs of 3 of those were, I think, running about £25.
Yep.
The swappables are now $4.99, and the smaller 3-packs are $7.99. So
not
that's
terrible at all.
No. So this is the thing, like getting a starter set for £8, and then seeing these other, and they are really beautiful figures. Seeing them at such a cheap price, that's another one of those where I've gone, yeah, I'll pick that up. So on Wednesday, I walked a mile and a bit to a toy shop, and then a mile and a bit back. It was the first time I've been to a toy shop that was quite this massive for many, many years. And like a gleeful little kid with his pocket money, I chose a few Skylanders. So yeah, I've heard Swap Force described as Diablo light, and I can see that, but I'd rather say that along with that smish of Diablo, there's tinsel tickles of sort of classic Rare, classic PlayStation, Ratchet and Clank, classic Nintendo, and honestly, it's a fabulous game. I see folks on Twitter waxing lyrical about Rare Replay, about Nintendo, who would never go near a Skylanders game, perhaps down to the same amount of ignorance that I had. I mean, I would never have gone near Swap Force if it wasn't for Tony, Brad and Gary in that incredible Kane and Rinse episode. But yeah, it's not just fun, it's bloody fantastic. Vicarious Visions are doing this year's Skylanders, the Skylanders Superchargers, where they're this one you've got vehicles as well, racing sections and online stuff, and the amount of fun I'm having with Swap Force makes that very tempting. Although this stuff at full price does bring its own set of questions. If I was in at Swap Force at the beginning, the entry level for picking up more figures is much higher, but there's another side there, I reckon. Perhaps rather than this big swathe of toy buying I'm doing now, perhaps picking up a single figure would mean that there'd be a greater level of focus in leveling and maxing out that character before moving on, rather than, amassing this small army as I appear to be doing. I think that's an element that many of us can miss looking in from the outside as well. Rather than this being one massive investment for parents, that it's an ongoing thing. Mum or dad can buy a new Skylander for little Jimmy or Jeanette, as they would a regular toy.
Or Francois.
Or Francis.
Good.
I don't know. They can buy a toy as they can buy a Skylander as they would a regular toy, and the enjoyment that the child gets out of it plugs into the greater whole. They can pay that 15 quid or whatever, and the kid will be entertained. That's cool. As for me, it's ace to get this new appreciation, and this has flat out led to me getting Rare Replay, because I've gone on a bit of like, oh god, this reminds me of like classic N64 and PlayStation stuff. I mean, I love this level of quirk of character. I love that it's led me into to those classic memories, like I say. And it's been fun. It's been fun picking up more toys.
Well, that's interesting that you've been picking up toys, because that's a really good segue.
Well, I'm not quite done yet.
Are you not done yet? Oh,
no.
Okay, you go. You finish. Then we'll segue back.
We're going to lead into your Bionicle stuff in a moment.
Shh.
All right then, maybe.
I'll bleep that. No, I won't. Carry on.
So yeah, from the last episode, there were so many games recently that I expected to love, and everybody else loves. Not just big releases, but the little indie platformers. And I was feeling a bit down on things regarding the likes of not clicking with Shovel Knight or Rogue Legacy and stuff. I wondered if nostalgia was just that, something that I enjoyed in the past that wasn't me in the modern day. But Skylanders Swap Force is flat out joyous. If you've got any preconceptions, any preconceived notions, just jump into one of the starter packs. I mean, I've seen the PS4 version for 15 quid, like brand new. And if you like that old school kind of stuff, I think you might find yourself sort of quite surprised. And for the amount of investment, price wise, I don't think it's a bad thing. But it's ace, and I've now got how many figures I've picked up. I've maybe bought about 10 toys.
Wow. Would you say that they control like the actual gameplay, anything like the Lego games?
Surprisingly,
that's my in on those now.
Let me think. It's not something that I thought about, but it's worth the contrast. In many ways, yes, but I find that the enemies are maybe a little quirkier. Because like if you bought it to play with Laura, you can do couch co-op with it, which is kind of neat. But like there would what is it? I got to these sort of challenge levels the other night, which are basically like horde mode type things, but they're chucking different enemies at you, and you have to survive waves of these enemies. But I had these one enemies that looked like knights, and they got these electronic shields that rotated around them, and you had to draw them into bringing these electronic shields in so they could focus like a blast ahead of them, and it was that point you could kind of twat them a little bit. You got these big sort of little shop of horrors, like sort of plant monsters that were spitting out these little sort of googly-eyed, waving-tongued sort of little enemies that would rush at you. You got these magicians that were appearing in the corner that were casting magic on certain enemies. You got other ones with kind of these blunderbusses that were launching rockets from different places, and there were so many enemies with their own individual quirks that you had to think like, right, who do I take out first, and who do I have to try and avoid? And I've been playing it on hard. Once you finish it, you get the nightmare difficulty mode, and thus far I've found it. There's been a few points where I've stuffed up, but it's been enjoyable rather than being too easy or stupendously hard. It's just been a joy to play, and it's a fun game to put on late at night, like before you go to bed, or when you just don't want anything particularly taxing. And I don't mean that in a criticism. When you just want to play a game,
you want to chill. You don't want high energy. You want to play something fun.
But it is really funny. And the levels are huge, and stupidly daft at times. Like one of them I was running through the other day, I had to there was this big attack by Chaos's forces, and you'd gone to this island to unleash this stone monkey, this giant stone monkey, And Flynn just goes like, "Nobody expects the monkey." And I was giggling about that for ages. But it's daft as fuck. There's certain bits that I've gone into recently where you walk into this room and there's this band that aren't playing particularly correctly, but if you jump on all of the tables, you teach them rhythm. And they start like ba-dum 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 dum, and it's really daft stuff. Oh, and they've got these amazing little puzzle games that are in there as well, and it's the sort of thing that you might see in a BioShock, but BioShock doesn't do it this well. Where you've got a single screen, and there are two characters in there. One is kind of this blue block, and one is a green block, and you have to get them across the level to meet. But at other points in this screen, there's kind of a green lightning bolt and a blue lightning bolt. So if you can get each one of them to the corresponding lightning bolt and then meet each other, you get a bonus. And there are certain buttons that you land on which will raise certain platforms or lower certain platforms. And it isn't super taxing, but it takes you a little while to go, right, who do I get to there and which button? Oh, and then I can bring you across there, but I can't have you there because you'd meet and I need you to get to the lightning bolts first. And they're really good. And yeah, I'm a little bit taken with this. It was something that I expected to dive into as a bit of a curio for the show, and because I was rather taken with that episode of Kane and Rince. But it is a brilliant game. And I'd imagine if you ever saw it and you picked it up, that you and Laura would have a good laugh with couch co-op in the same way as you do with the Lego games. But it's a belter.
Nice. Well, I'll say life's busy at the moment, what with all the hot new games coming out. But it definitely sounds like there's a place in the living room for it.
It's with the games that are out at the minute, I think that obviously with it being an older title and things being more affordable, that's kind of neat in itself. But you may find, maybe you'll think back to this conversation at a certain point and just go, you know what, I fancy playing something that's a little bit old school. Or I know you and Laura, you said that you've played through the Lego games and you've really enjoyed the co-op and stuff together. So don't rule it out just because it's Skylanders and it's toys come to life, and because my ignorance was there as well, and sitting amidst of three other games that aren't very good, is this one that's a proper belter. And I believe that on this Ken and Rince they said that there was a bit of rivalry between Toys for Bob and Vicarious Visions, and when Trap Team came out, they nerfed all of the Swap Force characters.
Yeah, I heard that.
Which is really bizarre.
Weird.
And apparently technically Trap Team isn't a patch on Swap Force. The level design isn't as good. There were bugs in there which rendered every time a PlayStation update kicked in, the game would glitch and some people lost all the progress. And but
it's like a kid-friendly version of Infinity Ward versus Treyarch, isn't it?
that was what it was. That was what it was. It was compared to. But yeah, it's a really good game.
Nice.
And I hope that there's somebody that's listening to this that had the same level of ignorance I had before listening to that show, that maybe thinks, you know what, I'll give that a go, and finds the same sort of level of smiles and challenges those preconceptions as I have, and then goes out hunting some of these toys really cheap, like I did at Smith's Toys.
Right, well, speaking of toys...
Yes.
Let's segue. Okay. I could have segued about 9 times during that. I've got loads. So yeah, how many Skylanders did you say you bought the other day? You got about 10?
Should we do it at radio?
Tell me in bingo numbers.
No, just 1 minute.
It's good Foley, this. I can hear you.
I'm nearly there.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, are you back?
Yeah. So I've got Freeze Blade. That's
Right.
swappable. Star Strike. Roller Brawl.
Okay.
That's in bag one. Kickoff Countdown. Now, Countdown is a bomb type character that's got missiles for arms, but in Kickoff Countdown, he's a football.
Okay.
Night Shift. My 3-pack has Zulu. That's ZOOLOU, who's this giant polar bear in armour with what looks like a green energy mace. Blizzard Chill and Mega Ram Spyro. There was one that I got tonight that I can't seem to... I don't know where I put it, but it was one that I was really looking forward to. It looks like a sort of divine little My Little Pony made out of crystals. Plus, a friend of mine is on O2, and Game were giving away Skylanders Giants toys, which will work with Swap Force because all of the older toys work with them. And if you're on O2 Priority, you got this free. So that one's got Chop Chop, some sort of golden dragon fire cannon, which probably won't work, and Shroom Boom,
Drugs.
Who's a mushroom with a gather. And when we had the O2 Priority thing, it gives you a 10-minute timer once you're going to do it. So we ran between 2 different games and got 2 sets of them, and I'm going to level them differently. So yeah, I think that's it. And then there's the one that I picked up earlier, which I don't know where to put it, but like I say, it looks like a really pretty crystal My Little Pony.
Okay.
So yeah, that's
so about 10 then.
About 10.
That's the answer I needed.
That was the long way around, but I thought it would make for better
like
radio.
You had them in some sort of bin bag there.
Well, I got 10 more, so I got 3 more with the starter set. Plus, if I buy the 3DS starter set, it's a different game. The Swap Force version is a different game. Plus, you get 3 different figures in there, and I've seen that for 17 quid. I'm probably going to do it. I'm sorry, that was a long way around when you were leading into something else.
Segue dead.
Yeah, I had to do it. So that's about 13, which is unlucky for some, Devil's Number or Baker's Dozen.
Makes sense.
It's not really.
They're all
it's not
quite
really
standard.
very good, is it?
Anyway, we work in charity shops.
Yeah.
Me and Laura work in charity shops, as most of our listeners will know.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally something will come in that will inflame the senses, and your eyes will prick up, and your ears will open wide. And what Laura had come in to her work was she had some Bionicles, but she had a bin bag full of Bionicles.
There were lots of them.
There are approximately
do you know much about
20
Bionicles
of these
beforehand?
things here at the moment, and
the only thing I know about Bionicles is I rented 3 Bionicle films from Love Film back in the day, and they were a little bit like kind of Lego Lord of the Rings type stories. And I think one of them was all
they're
right.
kind of like
bit
imagine like it's like
serious.
Lego action figures. Is the best way I've ever thought of describing them. They kind of like action figures that you build yourself, and they come with like the superposableness that you'd expect out of even like a Revoltech figure. Like they're that posable. You can really get them to do all sorts of weird stuff. And I've always kind of dug them. Like I've always been into the Bionicles. Like when I was a bit younger, I had a couple when I was of the right age for them, and then I got a bit older, went to uni. And I picked up, there was a set of 3 that came out. There was one called Axon, which was like a buff-looking guy with an axe. And these are the warrior kinds. These are the kind of like the sort of the big version of that. So you got Axon. There's also a big, tall, kind of like cat-looking one called Brutaka that had like a double-ended sort of sword type thing. And there was a third one, which was technically two. It was Vezon and Fenrak. And Fenrak...
I've just put up Axon on Google. Nice. That's
it's buff as
seriously
fuck,
cool
isn't
toy.
it? And then I also got one called Vezon and Fenrak. And Fenrak is basically like a giant spider, and Vezon sits on top. And this thing's like big. It's got a proper big head. The good thing and the bad thing with Bionicle is that you've always got kind of like these very unique looking bits that you don't get with normal Lego. Like they've lots of these kind of strange connectors that look like absolutely nothing you've ever seen, and don't. They look great. They don't work with regular Lego at all. Like, well, you could connect them up, but they just thematically don't work.
I mean, I've seen those films, but I had no idea that the toys were like this until the picture that you put up on Twitter, and now I'm looking at these on a Google search, and they're stonking.
Well,
they're a little bit Meccano-like.
They
aren't
are.
they?
I've got something else for you to search then. Okay, so the three that I got from that set, Axon, Brutaka, and Vezon and Fenrak, they combine together. All three of them combine to make a thing called a Cardass dragon that is like a foot tall. It is a big dragon.
I believe that I found this without knowing that I found it. I've just put Brutaka in there, and Brutaka looks pretty cool in itself. I guarantee that this thing that I've just clicked on. Oh man, this reminds me a little bit of Micronauts that I used to have as a kid.
It's mad as fuck, isn't it? It's huge, isn't it? Like it's got a.
Is it Cardass?
Did you say? DAS for those of you listening who want to type that into YouTube. Or YouTube, Google Images, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the
it's
thing that I got.
Huge.
Wow,
like,
that's
you can
awesome.
only find the instructions.
It looks like a Zoid.
It basically is. You can only really find the instructions online these days. I think they released it in a box where you could get all three together in a box with all the instructions. But generally, you're going to go onto I think brickinstructions.com or something like that to find the instructions of this thing.
God,
I am going to go back and build that this week when I'm finished with the new stuff. But that thing was like, I had that like primed, front and center on my shelf when I was a bit younger. I still like building it. It takes about 2 days to build. It's huge, but it's a fun build. I've always kind of had my eye out for the new Bionicles. I used to get the odd one or two here or there that look cool, and then obviously Laura gets this bin bag load of them, of about 20.
That's you. Did she tell you what was in the bag beforehand?
She made me come to her work to have a look at them to see what ones I want. Well, to see what ones I wanted. Turns out all of them, even the ones that I had duplicates. I was like, yeah, get them. Just get all of them. Fuck it.
I've just seen one that I like. Toamatanui, yellow one.
I think I know the one you mean. But what I've now got is I've got a series of. There's a set of 6 that I believe are called Toa. Oh crap! What were they called? Toa something, I can't remember now. But they have, there's a set of 6, and there's another set of 6. And there's a little 6 and a big 6. And the little 6 will ride their appropriate big one. So you've got like a big orange one who's got like spinny drill hands, and then a little orange one that will sit and clip onto his back, and they will go around together.
Yeah, I think I've just brought up something very similar. I'll send you the link on...
the computer's on the floor. I'm not going to be able to find it. But yeah, no, I've got a set of those. I've got a couple of sort of mad-looking things with like wings and daggers sticking out of them. Some of the Baraki and Piraka sets. And the Baraki are cool. Baraki have got kind of like big grinning teeth. They're kind of like bad guys. And the Piraka all look like undersea creatures. So they've always got like they've got like tusks and fangs, and they're very sort of spiky, and a lot of them have these kind of like jelly sort of like spike bits you can clip on the back. So they've got kind of like big arched backs, lots of whips, lots of claws.
I've just found a picture of Nocturne, and that
Nocturne
looks very
I
much
believe
like
it's
that
light
kind of
blue and light green, is it not?
Yeah, it's got like a squiddy face.
I've got him.
Kind of rubbery spikes going down its back.
He is my absolute favourite out of the whole bag. He is mad as fuck. He's got like 4 arms.
I'm proper jealous.
Yeah,
These are incredible.
I picked up a load, and the other one I picked up was Toa Ignika, I think his name is. Toa Ignika is a yellow and grey Bionicle, standard sort of size. He's got a little bit of a sword. He's got a bit of a gun, but he rides a fucking massive jet board thing.
Oh, I think that's on. That's I've just seen that. Yeah, that's.
He looks like kind of like imagine a Lego Silver Surfer. Imagine that. Like it looks like that. It's brilliant. It's like a giant great rocket board. And I've.
Oh, this one. He looks like he's riding a giant spider with a dragon's face.
That is Vezon and Fenrak. Is the spider red and black?
Cool. It's kind of silver, red, and black. Yeah,
Fenrak. That's the one that turns into the dragon. Wow, I like that. I'm remembering all these without trying.
I like that I punched this into Google so I can get like a visual thing, and you can be you can be rapturous about this. And I'll go like, "What's this one?"
I know which one that is. The other ones I've got as well that I've not played with yet. Cool. I say played with. I'll get to what I mean there later. I've got one that looks a bit like Boba Fett. He's got kind of like a kind of cool helmet, like a machine gun in one arm, and he's got kind of rocket boosters on his shoulders. But I didn't get instructions for that one, so I don't know what he's called. So I need to do a bit of searching to find out what that one's called. But I've no doubt I'll find it. But like, yeah, I've got these 20 Bionicles, and what I've been doing is arranging them on my shelf once I've finished playing with them. Now, playing with them is very important.
Because you did say that you got to make them yours, didn't you?
What you have to do is when you get Lego, if the Lego's already built, you have to unbuild it and then rebuild it yourself, and that thus then makes it yours. If you don't do that, it's not yours.
Did you then have to go on to somewhere like Google to get instructions, or did you just pull them apart and just start?
Not yet. I had instructions with quite a few of them. I would argue about 3/4 of them came with instructions in the books, the proper full, regular book instructions. So I was able to go through, identify bits that had bits fallen off, because there was a bunch of spare bits in the bottom of the bag as well. So I've been linking up those with the bits that they need to be with, and kind of rebuilding them all essentially from scratch. But yeah, just breaking them apart and putting them together is very therapeutic. What I achieved the other day as well was when I was doing this, I thought, well, I need to watch something while I'm doing that. I've been watching on YouTube the two best friends are doing their second annual WrestleMania series, which is where they play a load of wrestling games, one after the other, one each day. And they just played an Ultimate Muscle game. Are you aware of Ultimate Muscle?
No, not. I'm aware of the name.
It's a weird anime about wrestling.
Oh,
it's goofy as shit. Like,
I didn't know if they were...
it's the least serious.
I didn't know if there were a series of toys.
Yeah, there was a series of toys. There's all sorts of games. But there's also a 75-episode long sort of anime about it as well. With, ridiculously stupid, over-the-top characters. Like, more puns than I think you will ever hear condensed into a 20-minute show.
That's beautiful.
Honestly, there was one enemy who is basically a giant mobile phone. Who was dialing people and getting them to kind of come out and fight them. But yeah, like his number's up. Like, stupid. Like, the whole show was just gag after gag after gag. And I dig it because it's kind of dumb and it's kind of goofy and it's kind of fun just watching like cartoons wrestle. So I'm sitting on the sofa, building my Bionicles, watching my Ultimate Muscle. We burned through 12 episodes in a single day. That explains how much I got vegetated. And I put a little tweet up about that, saying, I'm experiencing maximum, I think I'm at peak joy here. And Revatar, the video game dog art on Twitter, proclaimed that it wasn't quite peak joy, that I needed tea and a custard cream to achieve peak joy. And Laura nearly got me it. She said she'd do it, and then I forgot to actually let her do it. So I have not yet achieved peak joy, but I am close.
There's they're opening a Krispy Kreme around here, and they're giving out boxes of free donuts. And obviously, I'm on my super exercise, healthy eating kick at the moment. And all I was seeing tonight, when I was prepping a few show notes for this sort of thing, were just people walking past with massive boxes of Krispy Kremes, like massive.
I am upset that I can't be there to steal those Krispy Kremes.
Yeah, so I can look at you as you gorge them down, and not a single calorie inflicts itself
I'd do that
on
for
your
you.
Skeletal frame.
I'd do that for you. I'd keep them away from you. I wouldn't let you have any. If you tried to teach them, I'd slap you upon the face.
You are
such a friend.
You
I
will
will eat all these carbs. Okay, so I have also been playing a game that I haven't really been talking about much on the internet. That I picked up, and again, I like my indie, sort of things like Dear Esther, sort of like like your portals, sort of like walking around, hearing a story, really getting into a game, that sort of thing. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture came out. Yeah, I didn't buy that. I bought Goat Simulator. I weighed up my choices.
You were leading me astray then, sir.
I weighed up my choices.
I saw that you picked it up.
That goats were probably the better use of my money.
And have you enjoyed it?
Honestly, I have had far much more fun with it than I expected to. It is.
That seems to be the theme. For
honestly,
the
it's like I expected it to be funny for about 10 minutes, but I was kind of running around and kind of finding stuff. And as you go around, you unlock new goats by doing certain things. Like I think I unlocked Tall Goat was one of the first ones I unlocked. Tall Goat is a giraffe. And it has all the physics associated with the giraffe. They fall over quite a lot. They're not good at going under things. I think there's Feather Goat, who's an ostrich. And you can find things like you can find like a jetpack. And you think, oh, cool! I found a jetpack, which is basically like, have you ever watched any like videos of like Gary's mod, where people just kind of like strap things together? It looks like one of those. It's two like barrels with a bit of wood on the back, and it goes in the back of your goat. You think, okay, this is kind of fun. Let's try and jump and use the jetpack to go somewhere important. You can't control the jetpack. You press the button, and it just shoots you off in a random direction, which is actually kind of brilliant. Because I was kind of having fun with it. I was running around trying to find, the secret statues to unlock more things. Just kind of enjoying just headbutting stuff and doing goat things, which was, it was fun. Trying to work out how to do a goat manual on my front legs.
That sounds wrong in so many levels.
Goat manuals. It says, you have to manual for 1,000 points of manual. I was like, well, how do you fucking manual? You're a goat. I worked that out eventually. But later that day, I had some friends come over for a barbecue. And I was like, you know what I've just bought, right? I bought this weird game I've played about 20 minutes of. Should we try it? Goat Simulator has 4-player local co-op. 4-player local co-op. There are like mini games you can start. You can start a game of Capture the Flag if you want, or there's a game of ice hockey in there as well. Like air hockey with a puck. There's a game of that in there where you kind of roll your floppy goat around and kind of try and get the puck through the hole. But yeah, we kind of spent about an hour, I would say, with the four of us, just running around and seeing what we could discover. Turns out there's lots, like more than you'd think. There were like space goats. You can fly up into, you can fly pretty much above the map. One of the things I unlocked later was an ability to, you pick up a towel that's got the number 42 written on it. Okay. Can you see where this is going? A little bit? Towel, 42. Okay. And you take it over to where an alien is. There's a crashed UFO in one of the areas. You take it over there, and it unlocks Hitchhiker Goat, which is a goat with a towel on its back with 42 on the back. And when you press the special button, it makes a whale fall from the sky. And you could just stand in a group of people, hit the whale button, stand back, and just wait. And then whale turns up and everyone screams and falls over and dies. I laugh like a goon and do it again. Like, I don't know. I think your mileage will vary by how much tolerance you have for haha physics are bad.
I was going to say this does sound very much like the sort of giggles that you get from a Saints Row and stuff
but
like
with
that.
physics that don't work. And like even on the title screen, it's like sometimes your goat will get stuck. We've made a button to fix that. It knows. Like sometimes you're gonna get stuck. The physics doesn't really work in this game. Like when you go up a ladder, your head just bangs against the ladder. Ding 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 ding. Just going up there. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And yeah, I've been having far much more fun with it than I expected to. And for like £6 that it is on PSN right now. Like, if you want to laugh and you, like, don't go in expecting the world. Like, don't go in expecting it to be, like, the be-all, end-all. And if you're listening to this on, podcasts, you probably know what it was all about now. You've seen the YouTube videos. If you've not played it, I'd say it's worth £6 for a laugh. You'll get an hour's worth of silliness out of it. And, when you unlock some of the silly goats. Yeah.
I think this is a sort of joint link between the two of us with me going for the Swap Force starter set at £8. And you going for that, just like a shot in the dark of like, I'll probably get that much money, enjoyment.
Exactly. If it had been like £15, it could have sorted right off. But like £6, Yeah, go on then. Like, yeah, okay, that's all right. £6. Yeah, fuck it. It's a goat, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you've got capture the fucking flag.
That's bizarre. Did your friends have?
Yeah, it was great. We'd laughed our heads off. So when we played capture the flag, I was angel goat, so it meant I could float angelically down. My sister was feather goat, which was a big ostrich. We had her boyfriend Matt, who was just a regular goat, and my mate Ian, who was a jetpack goat, who was not doing well because you can't aim the jetpack. Of course, you're trying to kind of get across the map quickly, and it just shoots you off the complete other fucking way. Like, right, I'm going to get there really quick. Wah! Just miles away. But yeah, it was good. And you can turn the modifiers on and off as you want once you found them as well. So if you feel like, do you know what I fancy being today? I fancy being the Sonic the Hedgehog goat. Go on, turn it on. And then you can just do it, and just off you go. The Sonic the Hedgehog goat, you smash the special button and then let go, and it spins on the spot and shoots you off forwards. It's every stupid joke you can think of, and they've plugged them all in. And I really hope that they get the Goat MMO and the Goat Z expansions as well, because I'd like to play those too.
So how much enjoyment do you think you'll continue to get?
Okay, well, I've still got the 30... I sat there with Laura last night getting the 30 goat trophies in the first map, which unlock a space goat, which is basically like an alien. And more, just for the fun of doing it. And I've still got to get all 30 in the second map. There's only 2 maps. I've got to get all 30. But we have unlocked, out of 30, I've found 10 of them, which has unlocked Classy Goat. What kind of animal do you think Classy Goat is?
I'd imagine it's got thick, luscious hair like Chewbacca.
No. Classy Goat is a penguin.
I
should have known. It's a little tuxedo. Whatever animal you are, when you press the bar button, when you're a goat, it kind of goes, and it'll occasionally, you know those goat videos online where they scream like humans? It'll sometimes do that, and it freaks me out every single time to see this goat go, ah! But yeah, whatever animal you pick, it will still make the goat noise. So that you've got a big blue whale going, meh. It's brilliant.
You've got to capture some of this and either stream it or stick it up on our YouTube.
I think I might just share play it. Fuck it.
Yeah. I'll
That's the best game we're going to test for share play. We've never done it. Let's do it with that. a broken game that barely works. Yep, brilliant.
Well, actually, with regards to share play, I heard on that Kane and Rinse that you can do it with Swap Force. Okay. So in the interest of this podcast, and because I want to prove a point, I might pick up the PS4 version of the starter set as well, just to get you on share play and co-op it with me.
We can give that a go.
Yeah, I might be alive. Right, so
you got one? Okay, I'll let you do it. Okay.
Coming back full set, have you got anything else you want to talk about?
Co-op. Okay. Actually, I've got 2 co-ops, but I'll cover one of them very, very quickly. Me and Laura have been playing a lot of Towerfall over the last 2 days. Towerfall being that wonderful indie game on the PS4 and the ill-fated Huya about archery. It's a bit like Smash Brothers with archery. It's fucking great. It's fucking great. If you haven't got Towerfall, get Towerfall. It's the best local multiplayer game that's on the PS4. No doubt. But I was playing with my sister because she came round just to sort of say hello and drop a couple of bits off. And we said, just time for a quick game of Towerfall. Yeah, go on then, because we like to just have a couple of quick batches on it, quick. As we were playing, a new level unlocked. We're like, oh, this is new. What's this? I've never seen this level before. What the fuck is Tower Forge? Oh, everything's on fire. What's going on? So we kind of played that and got a bit scared by it and sort of gave up. And then after we finished, sort of had a little quick dig around the menus, and then a whole new menu had opened up called Ascension. I'm like, that's new. And it seemed to want you to input a code. I'm like, well, what's that all about then? Long story short, you go through the levels that you've unlocked, and it gives you like arrow directions, and you write all those down. You then go to this menu and input the arrow directions, and it unlocks the final stage called Ascension, which is kind of cool. It makes you go look for it. And we thought, well, we've done that. What else is there to unlock in this game? Because we've got most of it now. We were only missing a couple of archers. I thought, well, what have we got to do to get the archers? So we googled it, and it's like, okay, find the hidden triangles in the trial mode where you just shoot a bunch of targets. It's like, well, we can do that. So we bashed through that in about 5 minutes because it was easy. And then the other one was beat a certain level of the quest mode. Towerfall's quest mode basically works a bit like sort of waves of enemies turn up in a set map, and you have to shoot them all. You've got so many lives, and there's a boss at the end. You know, it's pretty standard stuff. But we thought we can probably do that. Surely we can do that. So we've spent the last 2 days, about 2 hours each day, just playing that mode. Just playing it to unlock it. And we unlocked the archer. We got the archer. It's fine. Brilliant. Done. Which is a weird puppet whose second costume has like a bum flap in their clothes, which is quite funny. Of course. But then there's 3 more levels past that one. Once you get the last archer, we're like, well, we've got to do it now. We can't just leave it. So we persevered. We kept playing. I would argue that on the last level, called Ascension, it's taken us 69 attempts to beat it. Because it logs it, and you can see it when you go back. We beat it today, just before we started recording. We just beat it. And it's taken us about 4 sessions of going back to it, playing for half an hour and going, nope, fuck it, it's too hard. We can't do it. But it got to the point where we know, like, we knew where the archers were, like, who's going to appear where, what enemy's going to come, exactly how to jump on them. Like, it was getting stupid at just how memorised and how rote it was becoming by the end. And it was just keeping it together for the final one. But, like, I didn't think we could do it. Like, when it was, when I read the FAQ a while ago saying you've got to beat this to unlock the next archers, I thought, well, we're not going to do that. We're not good enough. We're not physically good enough at it. But it turns out that we are. And it turns out that you can do it. And all you have to do, when you think you can't do it, just listen to the words of Shia LaBeouf. Yes, you can. Do it. Yes, you can. Nothing is impossible. And I still kind of really feel sad because I do find that video quite motivating in a weird way. Like, yes, you can. You can do it. Yeah. So yeah, Towerfall. It's fucking brilliant. And it's the best local multiplayer game that there is on the PS4, bar absolutely none. It's fucking great. It's a heroism simulator. That was Towerfall very quickly, just because I needed to vent because we did really well today and I feel good about it. The other co-op game we've been playing a lot of recently, Resident Evil Revelations 2.
Oh yeah, I saw you on that.
Yeah, which is
I jumped on the PES 2016.
Yeah, it's the downloadable episodic based one. But to be honest, you probably wouldn't know when you were playing it. Like, there's definitely a break where it goes next time on Revelations 2, boom, 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 and it kind of gives you a little short cutscene, the way the Telltale games will sometimes do. But yeah, really weird sort of non-symmetrical co-op as well. So one character will play, for example, in the first bit, you've got 2 characters, Claire, series mainstay Claire Redfield, and Moira, who's Barry Burton's daughter, who hates guns. So one of you will play as Claire, and the other one plays as Moira. Now, Moira doesn't get a gun, she just gets a flashlight and a crowbar. And as Claire, you're doing the normal Resident Evil stuff, run around, shoot the zombie in the face, the standard stuff, run and gun. But as the second player, you can't really shoot them. You have to kind of flash your light in their eyes to kind of stop them. And that will kind of stun them a bit, and then Claire can then follow up with a kind of a more devastating shot to the face.
So it's a little bit Alan Wake.
Sort of, yeah. Or like she's the only one, Moira is the only one that can kind of open the doors with her crowbar. She's the only one that can jimmy them open. So as Claire, you've got to defend her while you're doing that. Really sort of mixes it up. You're not both just trying to shoot the zombie in the head. You're both, you're trying to do different things at the same time. And we had a lot of fun with it. And the other side of it as well, you also play as Barry Burton, series man who really likes his guns. And you can tell that because when you start the Barry bit, Barry has 3 guns to start with, one of which is a Magnum. Like, at the start of his game, it's ridiculous. You're like, yep, everything in the world is going to eat shit. And it does.
Did you go digital on this, or
we
buy
went,
the
we went
retail
Digio.
copy?
It came up in the PSN sale for about 12 quid for the whole lot. We're like, yeah, go on then.
Fair play. You guys have had sort of quite a bit of fun with Resi Co-op in the past.
I still maintain that the co-op, Resi 5 is probably our favourite one between us. Because of the fun we had with it. I still think Resi 2 is the best Resident Evil, but like Resi 5 is not to be sniffed at. And this kind of feels a bit more like that. It's kind of like a good evolution of that, because the second player is doing different stuff. Like in the Barry scenario, the second player plays a child who doesn't even have a flashlight. She gets a brick she can chuck, and she can point at stuff. That's about it. And she can just point. And you can point out items in the world, but what she can also do, she can kind of sense the enemies. So you kind of get like on her screen, you kind of see like foggy, misty, yellow stuff where the enemies are, and she can point out their weak spot for Barry to shoot. And more of that, she can see invisible enemies as well, because there are invisible enemies, which she can point at, but it doesn't mark on Barry's screen, so you've got to kind of look at her screen to know where she's pointing. It's really weird. But we're having a lot of fun with it, and because it's a bit different, because it's mixing it up, you know, we're kind of, it feels fresh. Whereas we didn't quite gel with Revelations 1, we're really getting in with Revelations 2. And the raid mode has been it's really good. Like, it's its own game, pretty much. Gives you a bunch of, like, here's a level, there's going to be 40 zombies, they'll spawn in at various points, go through the checkpoints, try not to die. If you get all the zombies, you get a medal. If you get all the stuff, you get a medal. Don't heal, you get a medal. You know, and it's like you can level up your guns and level up your character, and there's a whole bunch of characters you can use. Laura's been using series, you know, classic mercenary Hunk as her character. She's already put about 4 hours into that already, I would say. It's a really nice little mode, and it's kind of like the challenges will mix up each time. So sometimes it'll be like, just get to the end. Sometimes it's like, you're on a time limit this time, you know, go fast. And sometimes, right, no healing on this one. Really neat. Really, really neat. She's been having a lot of fun with it. And I've kind of jumped in with my own character as well, because the characters level independently. So I've jumped in with my own character, and I've kind of had a run around, and it's fun. You know, it's actually, it plays really well. You know, it's sharp, and you have to really think tactically about what bullets you're using, and you know what you know, how you're playing. It's a really fun little game, really, really fun. A nice little extra mode that I didn't expect would be as good as it was.
Most marvellous.
Yeah, Revelations 2, quite good.
Well, I'll probably have a few more bits to talk about next time, because I picked up, I watched Vader Van Odin playing Shadow of Mordor, and kind of got a taste of that, so I managed to get that for 14 quid.
Very good.
Which is alright. And did a bit of a pick-up the other day where I picked up Sleeping Dogs on New Gen, which I quite liked on 360.
You just had to get that pork bun, didn't you?
I just had to get it in my
your mouth!
And because Game are doing buy one, get one half price now, I saw Rare Replay in there, which means I got Rare Replay for £7.50.
That's not bad. What was the other?
Which is... What do you mean?
You got buy one, get one half price. What was the...
Yeah.
Oh,
Sleeping
okay.
So I bought Sleeping Dogs, got Rare Replay half price, and because it was... Game were doing £1 Wednesday.
Right.
Their £1 game was Watch Dogs.
What?
And I thought... Yeah, Watch Dogs was £1 yesterday. You had to buy a pre-owned game over £10, and then you got the option on PS4 or Xbox One to buy Watch Dogs for £1.
That is crazy.
So it's a game I've heard different opinions about, and for £1 I can trade that in and probably get about at least £2 more if I think it's shite. But yeah, I'll give that a go for £1. So yeah. And the only other one that I could say that I've been playing is I completed Halo ODST on Xbox Master Chief Collection. But you can hear all about that on issue 189 of Cane and Rims, which will be out this Sunday.
Good plug. Good plug.
So yeah, that's us done. Other than to go back to Bingo Lingo.
Get your phone out, and we'll get on this. 9% battery. We can do this.
Yeah, you can read out sort of 10 replies. Okay. So if you say the person's name and the number that they've given, I will give the bingo lingos that are listed. Whilst you're doing that, I will say the most disturbing one that I've seen just going through them, which is for 17, which is the age to catch 'em.
Oh, oh God. Oh.
Pedo bingo, bing pedo, pingo.
Oh, dear.
That sounds more like a penguin.
Right, okay, I'm just loading up the feed now. Loading up the feed.
Can you imagine if you've... I mean, pensioners probably won't care because it was a different time back then. But it's just like, you're sitting there with your grandma and granddad or something and just like, 1 and 7, 17, the age to catch him. What?
Nan?
What?
Okay, right. We have them loaded. We'll do this. We'll do the plugs and then we'll finish. Right, okay. So
if you start with Andy's.
Andy Hamilton, 21.
Key of the door. If only I was. Just my age. Royal salute.
Fergs. 32.
Buckle my shoe. Jimmy Tube. No, I've no idea.
Okay. Jimmy Robinson. 67.
Let me see. Made in heaven. Argumentative number. What?
I know that one, because
I
why
know.
was 6 scared of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. That's why there are... I don't know.
Thanks.
I tried. Okay, Death Note. 69, dude.
Mm-hmm. Right, there's quite a few on this one. So, 69. Either way up. The same both ways. Your place or mine. Any way up. Any way round. The French Connection. Yum yum. A meal for two. A meal for two.
They can't say that in
Porno bingo.
There's no way.
I don't know. And like your grandma's just sitting there going, "Oh, isn't it just?"
Okay, The Law Hunter. Sinawoo. 3.
Cup of tea. Deary me. I'm free. Debbie McGee. You and me. Goodness me. Monkey on the tree. One little flea.
You just sound like a shit poem.
No, that was the greatest poem. That's going to be bookmarked for my next Valentine. So he opens it
Okay.
up. Cup of tea. Deary me.
Okay.
Mhm. Anyway.
Father of Odin. 13.
Unlucky for some. Devil's number. Baker's dozen.
Yeah, those are good. Okay.
That's a bit normal.
Philip Ears. 78.
Heaven's Gate.
That's pretty good. Gunnar Moore. 72.
Let me have a look. 6 dozen. A crutch and a duck. Par for the course.
A crutch and a duck.
Any of these could have been episode titles.
Rhyming style. I love it.
Apart from the one for 17, obviously.
Well,
Mind you, you might bring in the Pokemon crowd at that point.
okay, last one. Caleb. 45.
Halfway there. Halfway house. Cowboy's friend.
What?
I don't know.
Cowboy's friend.
Anyway, thanks for joining us on this episode of Oh the Humanity. Join us next time when we'll be doing a different show.
I like this. I like that we do different shows each time. Quick set of plugs then.
Fucking hell, I just
No,
finished.
no, no,
That was
no,
a
we
great
haven't-
place to... You do this every
Yeah, because
time.
you do
I give
this.
us a perfect segue to the outro music and you go, "Oh, here we go. Where can people find us?
No.
Don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes."
You forget that you do this every time. You forget because we don't just do this. We do other things as well. For instance,
Oh, people know what
if
we
you
do.
like this bant, right? We got to go on Pod Your Own Adventure this week. We got to play a book called Night
good
Dragon.
point.
Night
Dragon.
See, I'm paying attention. You'll find that on, I think it's at Pod Your Own Adventure or something like that. And yeah, it is at Pod Your Own Adventure, isn't it?
It
At
certainly
Adventure
is.
Pod. That's the one. At Adventure Pod. We got to go on the latest issue and play a fighting fantasy book by the name of Night Dragon, which was rather good and then dips suddenly halfway. You can pinpoint the exact moment all our hearts broke.
Yeah, so much faff, so many
Yeah.
colours, so many breaking
Delightful.
hearts.
You've been on another 17 cane and rinses recently, which is good. I am shaving my hair. This is the last plug I'll probably get in for this because it's happening in a week's time. I'm shaving my hair for charity. There will be a link in the description-y video type thing. Go there and give me some money because the more money I get, I might get my boss to wax his arms, and he looks like Chewbacca. I want to see him scream, but it's all for a really, really good cause. It's for Sue Ryder. We run hospices and stuff. You've heard it all last time. It's fine. I think that's all the plugs.
I have to get up in 5 hours' time. Stop talking. Bye.
Bye.